The bridge of the alien scout ship was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Commander Kalith sat in his chair, watching the stars on the main screen. His people, the Valorians, had been exploring this part of space for many years. They had found empty planets, dead rocks floating in the darkness, but never anything truly interesting, until today. The communications officer, a young female named Trenix, suddenly sat up straight in her chair. Her long fingers moved quickly across the glowing controls in front of her. Kalith could see the concern on her face even before she spoke. "Commander, we are picking up a signal. It is repeating over and over." Kalith leaned forward. "What kind of signal?" "I think it is a distress call, but the language is completely unknown. Nothing in our database matches it." This was unusual. The Valorians had contact with hundreds of different species across the galaxy. Their translation computers knew almost every language that existed. If this signal was unknown, it meant they had found someone new. "Can you play it?" Keyleth asked. Trenix worked for a few moments, then nodded. "I have reduced the volume. The original signal would damage our hearing." She pressed a button. The sound that came from the speakers made every Valorian on the bridge flinch. Even at low volume, the voice was harsh and aggressive. It spoke in quick bursts, full of urgency. The words meant nothing to Kalith, but he could hear the desperation behind them. "What kind of beings talk like that?" Trenix whispered. Kalith pulled up a scan of the nearby star system on his screen. 3 rocky planets circled a yellow sun. The third planet showed signs of technology: satellites in orbit, electromagnetic signals, primitive fusion engines scattered across the surface. "A young species," Kalith said. "They have not learned to travel faster than light yet. They should not even know we exist." "Should we answer their call?" Trenix asked. Kalith hesitated. The rules were clear. Advanced species were not supposed to interfere with younger ones who had not yet reached the stars. It was called the First Contact Protocol, and breaking it could cause serious problems, but something about that desperate voice made him pause. "Keep watching and listening," he finally decided. "If they are in trouble, someone else might answer. We need to understand what is happening before we do anything." What Kalith did not know was that the distress signal was 3 weeks old. It had come from a human colony ship called the Horizon. The ship had broken down in deep space far from Earth. The crew had died slowly, sending their final message into the void, hoping someone would hear and help. Someone had heard. But it was not who the humans had hoped for. 2 days passed. Kalith and his crew continued to monitor the signal and study the planet below. Then Trenix called out with alarm in her voice. "Commander, we have contacts. Multiple ships approaching fast." Kalith rushed to look at the sensor display. 6 vessels were coming from the edge of the star system. They moved with purpose, heading straight for the third planet. Their design was angular and aggressive, built for war. "Those are not coalition ships," Trenix said quietly. Kalith felt cold fear settle in his stomach. He recognized those designs. "No, those are Krell warships." The Krell were not explorers like the Valorians. They were conquerors. They believed in taking what they wanted from weaker species. If they had heard the distress signal too, they were coming to claim a new world for their empire. "They are ignoring us completely," Trenix reported. "All 6 ships are heading for the inhabited planet." Kalith made a quick decision. "Send an emergency message to Coalition Command. Tell them the Krell are making first contact with a species that has no space travel technology. This is a violation of every rule we have. Then move our ship to a safe distance." As the Valorian scout ship began to retreat, Kalith kept watching the screen. The 6 Krell warships were descending toward the blue and green planet below. He knew what would happen next. The Krell would demand surrender. When the young species refused, the Krell would attack. "May the universe have mercy on them," Keyleth whispered. But mercy was not something this particular species needed. They had survived for millions of years, on a planet that seemed determined to kill everything living on it. They had learned to adapt, to fight, to never give up no matter the odds. The Krell were about to learn this lesson the hard way. On Earth, in a military command center deep underground, alarms were blaring. General Hayes stood in front of a wall of screens. watching 6 unknown objects enter orbit around his planet. Around him, officers and technicians worked frantically. "Confirmed, sir," a young lieutenant said. 6 vessels, completely unknown design. They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Our computers are trying to translate now. Hayes had been a soldier for 30 years. He had fought in wars, commanded troops in battle, and seen things that gave him nightmares. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it looked like that answer wanted to kill them. "What is the president saying?" Hayes asked. "He wants us to wait for instructions, sir. But these ships are positioning themselves above New York, London, Tokyo, and other major cities." Hayes felt his jaw tighten. Whatever these visitors wanted, it was not friendly. "Get me a line to Captain Mitchell on the Defiance. If we are going to fight, we need our best people ready." "Translation coming through now, sir," another officer called out. The speakers crackled and a mechanical voice filled the room. The words were processed through a computer, making them sound strange, but the message was crystal clear. "Attention, primitive species. You are now subjects of the Krell Dominion. Surrender your military assets and prepare to serve our empire. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your population centers. You have 24 hours to comply." The command center fell silent. Every person in the room understood what they had just heard. After all of human history, all the wars and struggles and achievements, aliens had finally arrived, and their first message was a threat. Hayes looked at the faces around him. He saw fear, yes, but also anger. Humans did not respond well to threats they never had. "Get Mitchell on the line now," Hayes said quietly. "And tell the president we need to mobilize everything. Every ship, every weapon, every person who can fight. These things just made a big mistake." "What mistake is that, sir?" the lieutenant asked. Hayes looked at the screen showing the 6 Krell ships hovering over Earth like vultures. "They think we are going to surrender." Captain Ryan Mitchell stood on the command deck of the warship Defiance, staring at the holographic display floating in front of him. 6 alien vessels hung in orbit around Earth like deadly ornaments. Behind him, his crew worked with focused intensity, their fingers flying over controls and keyboards. Ryan had commanded the Defiance for 5 years, ever since the ship had been built. The Defiance and her 3 sister ships were humanity's answer to a simple question: what if we are not alone? 3 weeks ago, when the colony ship Horizon went silent, that question became urgent. Now it was answered. "Captain, we have a translation of their message," Lieutenant Sophie Grant said from her station. Her voice was steady, but Ryan could hear the tension underneath. "Play it," Ryan ordered. The alien voice came through the speakers. It was cold, mechanical, processed through computers to turn alien sounds into English words. But the meaning was clear enough. Surrender or die. 24 hours to decide. Ryan looked around his bridge. He saw his crew looking back at him, waiting for orders. He thought about his wife Katie and his daughter Emma, both safe in Colorado for now. He thought about the 8 billion people on Earth who had just been told they were about to become slaves. "Sophie, open a channel to our fleet and connect me to those alien ships." "Channel open, sir." Ryan took a deep breath. He knew the next words he spoke would change everything. "This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the United Earth Space Force, commanding the warship Defiance. I speak for humanity. Your demand is rejected. Leave our system immediately or face the consequences." For a moment there was silence. Then harsh laughter came through the speakers. It was not a pleasant sound. "Foolish creatures," the alien voice said. "Your primitive ships cannot harm us. Watch what happens when you refuse the Krell Dominion." On the tactical display, one of the 6 Krell ships broke formation. It began descending toward Earth, heading straight for New York City. Sophie's hands moved quickly across her controls. "Sir, they are charging weapons. They are going to fire on the city." Ryan's voice was calm and clear. "All ships execute attack pattern Omega. Fire everything." The 4 human warships surged forward as one. Their fusion engines burned bright enough to be seen from Earth's surface. The Defiance shuddered as it accelerated, pushing Ryan back into his seat with tremendous force. "Missiles away," Lieutenant Marcus Cole reported. 48 Peregrine interceptors launched. The Krell ship never expected the attack. Human missiles were different from what most advanced species used. They did not rely on energy or shields. They were simple, brutal, effective. Nuclear warheads pushed by chemical rockets, guided by computers that could think and adapt. 16 missiles made it through the Krell defenses. They struck the alien ship's shields and kept hammering until the shields failed. Then the nuclear warheads detonated against bare metal. The Krell ship exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the night sky over half the planet. "Target destroyed," Sophie said. Her voice was filled with shock and disbelief. The 5 remaining Krell ships immediately changed their plans. They stopped descending and regrouped in high orbit. Ryan could almost feel their surprise through the void of space. "Incoming transmission, Captain," Marcus said. "They sound very angry." "Show me." The face that appeared on the screen was nothing like the aliens from Earth movies. The Krell commander looked like a lizard that had been crossed with a demon. His skin was the color of dried blood covered in scales. His eyes held no warmth or mercy, only cold intelligence and rage. "You will die for that attack," the alien hissed. "We will burn your world to ash and scatter your species across the stars." Ryan met those inhuman eyes without fear. "You came to our home. You threatened our families. You fired first when you aimed at our city. Now you are in a fight, and you are going to learn something important about humanity." "What is that, primitive?" "We are very, very good at fighting. We have been doing it for our entire history." The Krell commander's face twisted into something that might have been a smile. It was not friendly. "Then let us show you the difference between fighting each other and fighting us." The 5 Krell ships opened fire at the same time. Energy beams and plasma weapons lit up the darkness of space. The human ships scattered, their pilots executing maneuvers that would kill most alien species. Ryan gripped his command chair as the Defiance rolled and spun through space. The forces pulling at his body would have crushed a weaker being. But humans were not weak. They had evolved on a planet with high gravity, learning to survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species. "Return fire," Ryan ordered. "Sophie, target their command ship. I want this fight over quickly." "Sir, we are getting distress signals from our satellites," Marcus reported. "The Krell are destroying our communications network." "Let them," Ryan said grimly. "Katie, if you can hear this broadcast, take Emma to the shelter. We are going to end this threat." The Defiance's railguns opened up. These weapons used magnetic acceleration to fire solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. The projectiles hit harder than most energy weapons and were much harder to defend against. "Valiant and Resolute are flanking the enemy," Sophie reported. "Thunderchild is drawing their fire." The battle raged for 15 brutal minutes. The Thunderchild took a direct hit that destroyed her port side, killing half her crew instantly. But the ship did not stop. Her captain, a man named Greg Palmer, made a final decision. He aimed his damaged ship directly at a Krell vessel and fired all remaining engines. The Thunderchild rammed into the Krell ship at full speed. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire bright enough to create a false sunrise over the Pacific Ocean. 3 Krell ships left, Sophie said. Tears ran down her face for the lost crew, but Captain sensors are picking up more contacts. Long-range scanners show a Krell battle fleet entering the system. 20 ships, sir. We cannot win against that many. Ryan stared at the tactical display. His mind raced through possibilities and options. He thought about Katie and Emma. He thought about every person on Earth counting on him to protect them. He thought about the crew of the Horizon whose distress call had brought this nightmare to their doorstep. "All ships, fall back to Earth orbit," he ordered. "We make our stand at home. If they want our planet, they will have to go through us first." The 3 surviving human warships turned back toward Earth. They trailed atmosphere and debris, held together by emergency repairs and the determination of their crews. Behind them, the 20 ships of the Krell battle fleet approached like a storm. Ryan opened a channel to all military frequencies on Earth. "This is Captain Mitchell of the Defiance. To all ships, all pilots, all crews, we need you. Every vessel that can reach orbit, every weapon we have, every person willing to fight. The Krell are coming with overwhelming force, but we are human. We do not surrender. We do not give up. We fight for our home." The response was immediate and overwhelming. From military bases, from commercial spaceports, from private launch facilities, ships began to rise. Military vessels, cargo haulers, mining ships, passenger liners, anything that could fly and carry a weapon. Within 2 hours, 200 ships gathered around the Defiance in Earth orbit. Most were not warships. Many had weapons welded to their hulls in the last few hours. The crews were a mix of soldiers, pilots, engineers, scientists, and ordinary citizens who refused to hide while their world was threatened. Ryan looked at the ragtag fleet assembling around him. These people had no real training for space combat. Their ships were not designed for war, but they were human, and humans had spent millions of years learning one crucial skill: survival. "This is Captain Mitchell to all ships," Ryan broadcast. "I will not lie to you. Most of us will not survive what comes next, but our families are down there. Our children, our future. The Krell think they can take that from us. Let us show them what happens when you threaten a human's home." The response was a roar of defiance from 200 ships and nearly 50,000 voices. Ryan felt pride swell in his chest despite the fear. The Krell battle fleet approached. 20 warships against 200 defenders. But the defenders were protecting their home. And that made all the difference. Commander Keyleth watched the battle unfold from the safety of his observation position at the edge of the star system. His crew sat in stunned silence as the tactical display updated with impossible information. The primitive species was not just fighting back. They were winning. "How is this possible?" Trenix whispered beside him. "They do not even have shields. Their ships are barely staying together." "Look at their movement patterns," Keyleth said, unable to look away from the display. "Those acceleration curves would kill any coalition species. They are pulling gravitational forces that would turn our internal organs to liquid." Brevin, the tactical officer, added his own observations. "And their weapons are so primitive. Chemical rockets for missiles, solid metal projectiles from magnetic rails. It is like watching ancient technology fight modern military, except the ancient technology is winning." Keyleth pulled up the biological data his ship had been passively scanning from the third planet. What he saw made his blood run cold. His hands trembled as he read the numbers. "Stars preserve us," he breathed. "Trenix, look at these readings." His navigation officer studied the data. Her expression changed from confusion to shock to pure terror. "This cannot be right. The gravity reading must be broken." "It is not broken," Keyleth said quietly. "That planet has almost exactly one standard gravity. But look at the atmospheric composition. 21% oxygen," Trenix read aloud. "That is toxic. That much oxygen in the air would kill most species. And the atmospheric pressure is so high. The temperature swings are extreme." She looked up at Keyleth with wide eyes. "Commander, that planet is classified as a death world." The word hung in the air like a curse. Death worlds were the nightmares of civilized space. Planets so dangerous, so hostile, that only the most aggressive and adaptable species could possibly evolve there. High gravity that crushed weak bones. Dangerous atmospheres that burned lungs. Extreme weather that killed without warning. Predators everywhere. The Galactic Coalition had encountered 3 Death World species in its entire history. All 3 had become military powers once they reached space. All 3 were treated with extreme caution and respect. "They are Deathworlders," Brevin said, his voice shaking. "We just watched the Krell attack Deathworlders." "Send everything we have recorded to Coalition Command," Keyleth ordered. "Mark it as urgent priority. They need to know what is happening here immediately." On the view screen, the Krell battle fleet was entering the inner system. 20 warships in perfect formation, moving with the confidence of a superior force. The 3 surviving human military vessels had regrouped in low orbit around their planet, clearly preparing for a final stand. Then something happened that Keyleth knew he would never forget. "Commander," Trenix said, her voice rising in pitch. "I am detecting hundreds of new contacts. Ships are launching from the surface." Keyleth enhanced the sensor view. What he saw made no sense at first. The humans were launching everything they had. Military ships, yes, but also civilian vessels. Cargo haulers with weapons attached to their hulls. Mining ships with industrial cutting lasers. Converted passenger craft covered in missile pods. "They are insane," Brevin whispered. "Those ships cannot survive in combat. They are not even proper warships." "No," Keyleth said slowly, understanding washing over him. "They are desperate. And desperate Deathworlders are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy." The human fleet was chaos compared to the disciplined Krell formation. Ships moved in seemingly random patterns, launching from different points on the planet, converging on the enemy from multiple directions. But what they lacked in coordination, they made up for in sheer numbers and audacity. 200 ships rose from Earth's surface. Their engines burned at thrust levels that should have torn the vessels apart. Most of the crews were civilians. Scientists, engineers, commercial pilots, people who had never been in combat before. Look at the bioscan data, Trennick said, pulling up information on the human crews. Half of them are not soldiers. They are ordinary people. It does not matter, Calith replied. On a death world, everyone learns to fight. It is the only way to survive childhood. The Krell fleet opened fire first. Their advanced plasma cannons reached across the void to splash against the human formation. Ships died in the first volley. Civilian vessels vaporized in bursts of superheated gas, their crews given no time to scream or pray. But for every ship that fell, 2 more surged forward. Missiles launched in massive waves. Lasers designed to cut through asteroids now cut through Krell armor. One cargo hauler, its hull breached an atmosphere venting, used its last seconds to ram directly into a Krell cruiser. Calith watched a mining ship called Stonecutter position itself between a Krell battleship and a group of smaller human vessels. The mining ship's captain, a civilian named Greg Hughes, opened his industrial lasers at full power. The beams, designed to slice through solid rock, carved deep gouges into the Krell ship's armor. The Krell battleship returned fire, hitting the Stonecutter with enough plasma to melt a small moon. But in those precious seconds before the mining ship exploded, the smaller human vessels launched their missiles. The Krell battleship's shields failed under the barrage, and nuclear fire consumed it. They are trading their lives for small advantages, Brevin said. Each sacrifice creates an opening for others to exploit. That is Deathworlder thinking, Calith explained. Survival of the group over survival of the individual. It is how they survived their planet. The battle became a chaotic swarm. The Krell, used to fighting in organized formations, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer unpredictability of the human attack. Ships came from above, below, from every direction. Some attacked head-on with suicidal courage. Others used hit-and-run tactics, striking and retreating before the Krell could respond. Captain Ryan Mitchell coordinated the chaos as best he could from the Defiance. He designated targets, tried to create something resembling strategy from the swarm of ships. The professional military vessels anchored the civilian fleet, providing covering fire and drawing enemy attention. Sophie, target that battleship with all railguns, Ryan ordered. Maximum power. Sir, that will burn out our capacitors, Sophie warned. We will not be able to fire again for several minutes. Then we make this shot count. The Defiance's 6 railguns fired as one. The recoil was tremendous, pushing the entire ship backward despite its mass. 6 depleted uranium slugs, each weighing several tons, crossed the distance to the Krell battleship in less than a second. The slugs hit the battleship's shields at a significant fraction of light speed. The shields flared bright enough to blind sensors, then collapsed completely. The slugs punched through the hull like it was paper, tearing through decks and equipment and crew before exiting the other side. Direct hit, Sophie reported. Their reactor is becoming unstable. The Krell battleship exploded with enough force to destroy 2 nearby escort vessels and damage a third. The human fleet pressed their advantage, swarming the damaged ships with mining lasers and improvised weapons. But the cost was terrible. Ryan watched helplessly as ship after ship vanished from his tactical display. The cargo hauler Phoenix, commanded by a commercial pilot named Lisa Chen, went down fighting after taking 3 direct hits. Her last transmission was a simple message: for Earth. The mining vessel Stonecutter, its captain already dead, continued firing on automatic until plasma fire finally tore it apart. The passenger liner Hope's Dream, carrying 3,000 civilians who had refused to evacuate, lasted less than 3 minutes before multiple hits reduced it to glowing debris. Sir, we have lost 60% of the fleet, Marcus reported. His voice was hollow. The Krell are regrouping. They are preparing for a final push toward the planet. Ryan looked at his remaining forces. 78 ships, most damaged, many with critical systems failing. The Valiant had lost all power and was drifting helplessly. The Resolute had 1 engine left and was barely maneuverable. The Defiance herself had taken hits that would have destroyed most vessels, held together by emergency welds and the determination of her crew. But they had accomplished something important. The Krell battle fleet was reduced to 9 ships. 11 had been destroyed or disabled by the desperate swarm of human vessels. The Krell had learned a painful lesson about underestimating Deathworlders. All ships, Ryan said quietly into his communicator. Formation Delta. We protect the planet at all costs. If they want to reach Earth, they have to go through us first. The survivors formed a thin defensive line between the Krell and their homeworld. They were battered, bleeding, running on empty fuel tanks and failing systems, but they were still fighting. Ryan thought about Katie and Emma one last time. He hoped they were safe in the shelter, hoped they knew how much he loved them. Then he pushed those thoughts aside and focused on the battle. The Krell fleet was charging for a final assault, and the real fight was about to begin. The Coalition fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system, like a school of silver fish appearing in dark water. Admiral Vexen stood on the command deck of his flagship, studying the tactical display with all four of his compound eyes. His species, the Threxian people, looked like giant mantis insects with smooth carapaces and multiple limbs designed for complex tasks. "Report," he commanded in his clicking language. The translation computer turned his words into standard Coalition speech for his mixed species crew. "We have a confirmed Krell incursion in progress," his tactical officer responded. "They appear to be engaged with the local indigenous species." "Admiral, the Krell fleet is losing." Vexen's antennae twitched in disbelief. That was not possible. The Krell were one of the most powerful military forces in this sector of space. "Explain." The view screen zoomed in on the ongoing battle. Vexen watched in growing shock as a fleet of primitive vessels fought a Krell battle group. Some of the human ships were barely held together. Others had weapons that looked like they had been attached with simple welding equipment. Yet they were winning. "The indigenous species is faster than light, Admiral. They should not even have space combat capability, but they have destroyed or disabled 11 Krell warships at a cost of approximately 130 of their own vessels." "What kind of species are we dealing with?" Vexen asked. His military experience told him this should not be happening. Young species did not defeat the Krell. They call themselves humans, Admiral. According to the Valorian survey data that Commander Keyleth sent us, they evolved on a planet classified as a Deathworld. Everything suddenly made sense. Vexen had fought alongside Deathworlders before. The Chromath from Titan Grave were part of the Coalition military. The Vryn from Hell's Paradise served as elite shock troops. Both species were formidable warriors, evolved in conditions that would kill most galactic races. But those species had developed their space military technology over thousands of years. These humans appeared to have built their fleet in mere weeks or months. The implications were staggering. "Orders, Admiral?" his weapons officer asked, waiting for direction. Vexen made his decision quickly. Military protocol was clear. The Krell are in violation of Coalition First Contact protocols. They have initiated unprovoked warfare against a faster-than-light species. We are authorized to intervene. All ships, battle stations, target the Krell fleet. "Sir, the humans may perceive us as hostile as well," the tactical officer warned. "They have never encountered the Coalition." "Then we will have to communicate our intentions clearly and quickly. Communications broadcast on all frequencies in their language. Tell them we are here to assist against Krell aggression." The Coalition fleet consisted of 30 warships, each crewed by experienced soldiers from a dozen different species. They accelerated toward the battle, their energy shields shimmering into existence, their weapons charging to full power. On the bridge of the Defiance, Ryan Mitchell watched in amazement as the new fleet appeared on his sensors. For a moment, his heart sank. More aliens, more enemies. Then Marcus spoke up from his station. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission. They are speaking English." Ryan felt a surge of hope. "Put them through." The face that appeared on the screen was completely alien. Admiral Vexen looked like something from Earth's insect nightmares, but his translated voice was calm and professional. "I am Admiral Vexen of the Coalition Defense Forces. We have come to assist you against Krell aggression. Your species has fought with great courage, Captain Mitchell." "You know my name?" Ryan asked, surprised. "We have been monitoring your transmissions. We know your planet is Earth and your species is humanity. We regret that first contact has occurred under these terrible circumstances." Ryan looked at his exhausted crew, at the tactical display showing so many empty spaces where ships used to be. "How many did we lose?" Sophie's voice was barely above a whisper. 142 ships, Captain. Approximately 38,000 casualties." The number hit Ryan like a physical blow. 38,000 people, soldiers and civilians alike, united in their determination to defend their home. "Gone." "Admiral Vexen," Ryan said carefully, pushing his grief aside for later. "Thank you for your help. But I need to know, are you friend or enemy?" Vexen's mandibles moved in what the translation computer suggested was approval. A wise question, Captain. We are friends. The Galactic Coalition believes in cooperation and mutual respect, not conquest. We would like to formally invite humanity to join the galactic community. And what does that mean? It means your isolation is over. It means access to advanced technology, trade partnerships, and protection from species like the Krell. It also means responsibilities and obligations. Yes, it means attention from hostile powers who will see your strength as a threat. Ryan considered this while watching the Coalition fleet engage the Krell. The battle was brief and decisive. Coalition warships had shields that could deflect Krell weapons. Their energy cannons cut through Krell armor with surgical precision. Within minutes, the remaining Krell vessels were retreating toward the outer system, pursued by Coalition fighters. The Krell will come back, won't they? Ryan asked. Almost certainly, Vexen admitted. You have humiliated them today. Their culture demands revenge for such defeats. But they will think very carefully before attacking Earth again. You have proven something vitally important, Captain. What is that? That humanity belongs among the stars. No species survives a death world without developing exceptional qualities. Your creativity, your resilience, your absolute refusal to surrender even when facing overwhelming force. These traits are rare in the galaxy. The Coalition needs species like yours. Ryan looked around his damaged bridge. His crew had given everything for their world. Some had died. Others would carry scars, physical and mental, for the rest of their lives. He thought about Katie and Emma waiting below, about the future humanity might have among the stars. I need to discuss this with my government, Ryan said. But personally, Admiral, I think Earth could use some friends. We have been alone for too long. Then let us begin properly, Vexen replied. On behalf of the Galactic Coalition, welcome to the greater universe, humanity. Your courage today has earned you respect that some species spend thousands of years trying to achieve. The transmission ended. Sophie began pulling up damage reports from the surviving ships. They were in terrible condition, but they were alive. Earth was safe. Against all odds, humanity had survived its first battle for the stars. Captain, we are receiving requests for rescue, Marcus said. There are escape pods and damaged vessels scattered throughout the battle zone. Survivors are out there. Ryan straightened in his chair. His exhaustion fell away, replaced by renewed purpose. Then we bring them home. Every single one. They are heroes. All of them. As the Defiance began rescue operations with Coalition ships assisting, Commander Keyleth drafted his final report from his observation post. He chose his words carefully, knowing this report would be read by the highest levels of Coalition government. The species known as humanity has demonstrated combat effectiveness far beyond their technological level. They fought with courage, creativity, and determination that rivals any military force in Coalition history. Recommendations: immediate diplomatic contact, technology exchange programs, and recruitment for Coalition defense forces. Warning: under no circumstances should any species consider humanity an easy target. They are Deathworlders in the truest sense. They are survivors, fighters, and now warriors who will change the balance of galactic power. Keyleth paused, then added one final observation. The Krell made a critical error today. They thought they had found easy prey. Instead, they awakened sleeping giants. The galaxy will never be the same. Far across space in the Krell home system, military commanders received reports of the battle. They read about the defeat with growing rage and disbelief. The Krell did not accept defeat. They did not forgive insults to their honor. They would return to Earth, they decided, with a fleet large enough to crush any resistance, but that would come later. For now, humanity had won. They had proven themselves worthy of respect and fear in equal measure. They had shown the galaxy what happens when you threaten a Deathworlder's home. And in doing so, they had taken their first steps into a larger universe. 3 months after first contact, the world had changed in ways that would have seemed impossible before. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood in the observation deck of the newly built Earth orbital station, looking down at his homeworld spinning slowly below. The station was a joint construction project between human engineers and Coalition technical advisors, a symbol of Earth's rapid integration into galactic society. The blue and green planet looked peaceful from this height. It was hard to believe that just months ago, a battle had raged in orbit. Hard to believe that 38,000 people had died defending it. The memorial satellite was visible in the distance, a ring of metal inscribed with every name of those who fell. It caught the sun and sparkled like a second moon. "Your planet is beautiful, Captain," a clicking voice said behind him. Ryan turned to see Admiral Vexen approaching on his 6 legs. The Threxian admiral had become a frequent visitor to Earth since the battle. The two had developed an unexpected friendship, built on mutual respect and shared experience. "Thank you, Admiral, though I understand the gravity would be uncomfortable for most Coalition species." Vexen's mandibles clicked, and what Ryan had learned was amusement. "That is an understatement. Most species would be crushed within minutes on your surface. I have been reading the detailed reports about Earth. It is classified as a Class 7 death world. That is quite rare." "What does that mean exactly?" Ryan asked. "It means your planet is one of the most dangerous in known space. High gravity, high oxygen atmosphere, extreme weather patterns, abundant predators, regular natural disasters. Most planets that support life are much gentler. Earth is a world that constantly tries to kill everything living on it." Ryan smiled slightly. "I suppose we never thought about it that way. It is just home to us." "That is what makes humanity so formidable," Vexen said. "You do not realize how exceptional you are. Every human child survives conditions that would kill adults from most other species." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching Earth rotate below. Finally, Vexen spoke again. "I have news from the Coalition Council. They have approved the formation of a new joint military force. It will be called the First Combined Fleet. Humans and Coalition species working together to patrol the border regions and respond to threats." "And they want humans involved?" Ryan asked. "More than involved, Captain. They want you to help command it. Your tactics during the battle have been studied extensively by military academors across Coalition space. The concept of using civilian vessels as force multipliers, your willingness to sacrifice tactical advantages for strategic victories, your pack hunting strategies, they are revolutionary." Ryan frowned. "Most of what we did was desperation, not strategy, perhaps. But desperation combined with intelligence and courage creates effective tactics. Most Coalition species think in terms of honor, formation warfare, and minimal casualties. You think in terms of winning at any cost. That makes you dangerous. Is that a compliment or a warning?" "Both," Vexen admitted. "You humans are dangerous, Captain. But you are dangerous to the right enemies. The Council recognizes that in coming conflicts with the Krell and other hostile powers, humanity's approach to warfare could make the difference between victory and defeat. Speaking of the Krell, have they made any new moves?" Ryan asked. "Not yet. Your victory damaged more than their ships. It damaged their pride and their reputation. However, our intelligence sources suggest they are building a new fleet specifically designed to counter human tactics. They will return eventually." "Then we will be ready," Ryan said firmly. "We are already constructing the new Guardian-class warships using the technology your people have shared. Real shields this time, better weapons, faster engines, and we are training thousands of new recruits." "I have seen your recruitment numbers," Vexen said. 20 million volunteers in the first month alone. That is remarkable for a species that has never had a unified space military before. Earth has 8 billion people, Admiral. Most of us grew up watching the stars and dreaming about what might be out there. Now we know, and people want to be part of it. They want to make sure what happened to the horizon never happens again." A young officer approached, saluting smartly. "Captain Mitchell, you have a visitor. Commander Keyleth of the Valorian Survey Corps has arrived." Ryan nodded. "Send him to the conference room. We will meet him there." Commander Keyleth entered the conference room nervously. His silver eyes took in the human design mixed with Coalition technology. Everything was built sturdier and heavier than necessary by Coalition standards, designed to accommodate human strength and mass. "Captain Mitchell," Keyleth said in careful English. "Admiral Vexen, thank you for agreeing to meet with me." "Commander Keyleth," Ryan replied warmly. "Your early warning probably saved millions of lives. We owe you a debt of gratitude." Keyleth's ears twitched in embarrassment. "I only did what any moral being would do. But I am actually here to make a proposal." "Go on," Vexen encouraged. "The Valorian people are explorers, not warriors. But we have extensive data on unmapped systems, pre-faster-than-light species, and potential colony sites. We would like to propose an exchange program. Valorian scouts paired with human security forces. We explore and map. You provide protection from hostile species." Ryan glanced at Admiral Vexen, who clicked his mandibles in approval. "That could work very well. We are certainly not ready to explore independently yet, and having your expertise would be invaluable." There is one specific system I think you should investigate first, Calith continued. He pulled up a star map on the conference table's holographic display. The coordinates where your colony ship Horizon sent its distress signal. My sensors detected debris fields and active life pod beacons in that region when we first arrived. There may be survivors. Ryan felt his heart skip. The Horizon had carried 2,000 colonists. Families looking for a new home among the stars. If even some had survived, it would be miraculous. Send me those coordinates immediately, Ryan said. We will mount a rescue mission within the week. Already transmitted to your computers, Calith replied. And Captain, if I may say something personal, watching your species fight changed how Valorians view the galaxy. You reminded us that there are principles worth fighting for, even for peaceful people like us. After Calith left, Ryan and Vexen returned to the observation deck. The sun was rising over Earth's curve, painting the atmosphere in shades of gold and orange. You are thinking about the future, Vexen observed. I am thinking about how much has changed in 3 months, Ryan admitted. We went from believing we were alone to being part of something much larger. It is overwhelming. You will adapt. That is what Deathworlders do best. Your species survived ice ages, mega-predators, diseases, and your own wars. The galaxy is just another challenge. A challenge we are ready for, Ryan agreed. He turned to face the Admiral directly. When do we start building this combined fleet? Construction begins next month. The Coalition is contributing 15 warships. Earth is constructing 10 more with our technological assistance. Within 6 months, we will have a fleet capable of defending both Earth and Coalition worlds. And the command structure? Shared leadership. You will hold the rank of Vice Admiral in the combined fleet. Your tactical knowledge combined with Coalition resources and experience. It is an experiment, Captain. The Council hopes it will prove successful. Ryan extended his hand. Vexen had learned this human gesture during his time on Earth. The Admiral grasped Ryan's hand with his primary manipulator, a sign of friendship and trust. Then let us make it work, Admiral. For Earth, for the Coalition, and for all the species that need protection from those who would harm them. Far below on Earth's surface, life continued to change. Cities rebuilt from battle damage. Families mourned their losses but looked toward the future with hope. Children studied new subjects in school, learning about alien species and galactic history. The world had united in a way it never had before, bound together by shared experience and common purpose. In orbit, construction crews worked around the clock building new ships. Human welders worked alongside Threxian engineers. Valorian scientists taught human researchers about faster-than-light physics. The barriers between species began to blur as they learned to work together. And somewhere in deep space, a damaged escape pod drifted among the debris of the Horizon, its emergency beacon still transmitting. Inside, 17 survivors clung to life, waiting for rescue that they hoped would come. They did not know yet that Earth had won its first battle. They did not know that humanity had made first contact and survived, but they would know soon. Because humanity never forgot its own, and now, with new friends and new technology, they had the means to search every corner of space until every lost colonist was found. The rescue mission launched 6 days after Commander Calith provided the coordinates. Captain Ryan Mitchell commanded the operation personally, leading a small fleet of 3 ships toward the debris field where the Horizon had met its fate. The Defiance had been repaired and upgraded with Coalition technology. Her shields now glowed with a faint blue shimmer, and her weapon systems had been enhanced with energy cannons alongside the traditional railguns. Beside the Defiance flew 2 Coalition ships, the Valorian scout vessel Starseeker, commanded by Calith himself, and a Threxian medical frigate called Mercy's Wing. If they found survivors, those people would need immediate care after months in space. Sophie Grant monitored the sensors from her station on the Defiance's bridge. Captain, we are approaching the coordinates. I am picking up multiple debris signatures and at least 20 active emergency beacons. Ryan leaned forward in his chair. 20 beacons meant 20 escape pods. The Horizon had carried enough pods for the entire crew and passenger complement. But had anyone survived the month since the disaster? All ships slow to sublight speed, Ryan ordered. Begin search pattern Delta. I want every piece of debris scanned. If there are survivors out here, we find them. The 3 ships spread out, their sensors sweeping the area. What they found was sobering. The Horizon had been torn apart by what appeared to be a catastrophic engine failure. Pieces of the colony ship drifted through space, frozen and silent. Personal belongings floated among the wreckage. Photographs, clothing, children's toys, all the small remnants of lives interrupted. I have located the first escape pod. Caleth's voice came through the communication system. Retrieving it now. Ryan watched on the view screen as the Starseeker extended a mechanical arm to grab the small pod. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then Caleth spoke again and his voice carried sadness. The pod is empty, Captain. It appears to have been jettisoned automatically when the horizon broke apart, but no one made it inside. They found 5 more empty pods over the next hour. Each discovery was another small death of hope. Ryan could feel the tension building on his bridge as the crew began to fear they had arrived too late. Then Marcus called out from his station. Captain, I have a pod with life signs. Faint but definitely there. Bring us alongside, Ryan ordered immediately. Medical team, prepare for survivors in poor condition. The Defiance maneuvered carefully toward the escape pod. Ryan could see it now through the view screen. A small white capsule with Earth Defense Force markings. Its emergency beacon pulsed weakly. The pod was designed to keep people alive for 90 days. It had been over 100 days since the Horizon's distress signal. The medical team, a mix of human doctors and Threxian medical specialists, stood ready in the airlock. The pod was brought inside carefully. As the outer door sealed and atmosphere flooded the chamber, Ryan descended to the airlock level himself. Dr. Helen Park, the chief medical officer, opened the pod's hatch with careful hands. Inside, 3 people lay in emergency suspension, 2 adults and 1 child. They were thin, unconscious, but alive. Get them to medical immediately, Helen ordered. Her team moved with practiced efficiency, transferring the survivors to stretchers. As they passed Ryan, he recognized one of the adults, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, who had been the Horizon's communications officer. Ryan had met him once during the pre-launch ceremony. Will they make it? Ryan asked Helen quietly. Too soon to tell. They are severely dehydrated and malnourished. The emergency suspension probably saved their lives, but their bodies have been under extreme stress. We will do everything we can. Over the next 6 hours, they found 12 more pods with survivors. 17 people total pulled from the edge of death. Some were in better condition than others. All of them were transferred to the Mercy's wing, where the advanced coalition medical technology gave them the best chance of recovery. Ryan visited the medical bay once the doctors cleared him to do so. Jake Morrison was awake, though barely. Tubes and monitoring equipment surrounded his bed. His eyes widened when he saw Ryan's uniform. Captain, Jake whispered, his voice rough from disuse. Are we home? Did you find us? Ryan pulled up a chair beside the bed. We found you, Jake. You are safe now. All 17 survivors are being treated. 17? Jake's expression crumbled. We had 2,000 people on the horizon. 2,000 colonists, families, children. I know, Ryan said gently. I am sorry we did not get here sooner. We came as fast as we could once we learned what happened. Jake closed his eyes, tears leaking from the corners. The engines failed. Some kind of cascade reactor breach. Captain Rodriguez tried to save the ship, but it happened too fast. She ordered everyone to the escape pods, but most of the pods did not launch in time. We felt the ship breaking apart around us. You don't need to talk about it now, Ryan said. Focus on recovering. No, you need to know. Jake opened his eyes again. We sent the distress signal. We kept sending it for days before our communications finally failed. Did anyone hear it? Ryan hesitated. How could he explain what had happened? Yes, someone heard it. Several groups heard it, actually. That signal changed everything, Jake. It brought aliens to Earth. Jake stared at him in confusion. Aliens? What are you talking about? A lot happened while you were out here. Hostile aliens intercepted your distress call and attacked Earth. We fought them off with help from friendly aliens called the Coalition. Humanity made first contact 3 months ago. The galaxy knows we exist now. Jake looked like he was trying to process information that his exhausted brain could not quite grasp. We are not alone? No, we are not alone. And we never have to be alone again. The Coalition is helping us. The ship we are on right now has technology we did not have 3 months ago. Real shields, faster engines, advanced medical systems. That is how we were able to find you. And the hostile aliens, the Krell, they will likely come back eventually. But we will be ready this time. Earth has allies now. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked the question Ryan had been dreading. Did we start a war? By sending that signal, did we bring this on humanity? Ryan shook his head firmly. No, Jake, you did what anyone would do in a crisis. You called for help. What happened after was not your fault. If anything, your signal gave us warning. It forced us to be ready when first contact came. You may have saved the planet by giving us time to prepare. I don't feel like a hero, Jake said quietly. I feel like I lost 2,000 people. You survived when you could have died. You kept 3 people alive in a pod designed for 2. Dr. Park says you manually maintained the life support systems long after you should have gone into suspension yourself. You are absolutely a hero, Jake. Over the following days, the survivors slowly recovered. Each one had their own story of the disaster, their own grief for those lost. Ryan made sure to visit each of them, to let them know that Earth had not forgotten the Horizon or her crew. Meanwhile, the search continued. They found no more survivors, but they did recover data modules from the Horizon's wreckage. Engineers pulled information from the damaged computers, learning what had caused the catastrophic failure. It was a design flaw, one that existed in 3 other colony ships currently under construction. At least they did not die for nothing, Ryan said to Admiral Vexen during a private communication. We can prevent this from happening again. A small comfort perhaps, but an important one, Vexen agreed. Will you hold a service for those who were lost? Yes, once we return to Earth. The survivors deserve to say goodbye properly. 2 weeks later, a memorial service was held in orbit around Earth. The 17 survivors attended, along with representatives from Earth's government and the Coalition. Captain Ryan Mitchell spoke briefly about courage and sacrifice, about the price of reaching for the stars. Then one by one the names of the lost were read aloud. 2,000 names. It took hours. Each name was followed by a moment of silence, then a single bright flare launched from the Defiance. 2,000 flares lit up the space around Earth, a constellation of remembrance that could be seen from the surface. Jake Morrison stood beside Ryan during the service, tears streaming down his face. They deserved better than this, he said. They did, Ryan agreed. But because of them, we know the risks now. Because of them, we built better ships and found better allies. Their sacrifice will save future colonists. What happens to us now? Jake asked. The 17 of us. We were supposed to be building a colony on a new world. We gave up our old lives for that dream. You still can, Ryan said. Commander Killith has identified several suitable planets that need colonists. Or you can stay on Earth and help build the future here. Or you can join the Space Force. We need people with your experience. The choice is yours. Jake looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy that humanity was just beginning to explore. I think I would like to join the Space Force, he said slowly. Someone needs to make sure no more colony ships end up like the Horizon. Someone needs to protect the people who are brave enough to reach for new worlds. Then I would be honored to have you on my crew, Ryan replied. 3 months later, the first combined fleet held its official launch ceremony. 30 ships hung in formation above Earth. 15 coalition vessels and 15 human ships working together under a unified,